Even as we meet this challenge in Iraq and Syria, we all agree that one of our weapons against terrorists like ISIL, a critical part of our strategy, is the values we live here at home. One of the best antidotes to the hateful ideologies that try to recruit and radicalize people to violent extremism is our own example as diverse and tolerant societies that welcome the contributions of all people, including people of all faiths.
All right, part of the president's speech, if you will, or appeal, if you will, at the White House yesterday as he presents Congress with an authorization request for use of military force. Joining us now is our friend John Yoo, professor of law at Berkeley Law, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General of the United States, and author of the great book, Point of Attack, Preventive War, International Law, and Global Welfare. And John, you wrote a great piece at National Review online, Say No to the AUMF. President Obama's request to Congress is flawed and dangerous, and you lay it out perfectly.
Thanks for having me on again, Steve. I think this is a authorization to use force or declaration of war unseen in American history. It's unprecedented in the way it tries to limit not just the war and the president, but future wars. And this is going to be a terrible harm to our national security. The first and obvious one is that it has a 3-year sunset. In other words, it says once you authorize use of force, pass this law, Congress, in 3 years, the authorization ends. This makes no sense as a military matter. You don't announce to your enemies that you're going to be pulling out at a certain date. They'll just sit there, our enemies, and wait us out as they have in Iraq and Afghanistan. And then the second, I think, terrible mistake of it is that it bans what it calls enduring ground combat operations. Again, you don't tell the enemy in advance exactly what you are going to do and what you can't do. In this case, we're telling the enemy that we're not going to be sending any serious ground troops, which not only limits our commanders' tactical and strategic options in the region, but it's essentially playing into the enemy's hands and guaranteeing that we're going to only be engaged in minor uses of force, and they're just going to wait us out, and then they're going to declare victory in 3 years.
Is this? Would you say that? Am I using the correct terminology? That this is basically a blueprint for ISIS on how to defeat us?
Yes, all they know, after they read this authorization, after they see a messy debate in Congress, which is going to show a level of disunity amongst the president and the legislative branch for our country, it's going to say, look, the United States is only going to come after us with air attacks, and they're going to leave in 3 years. And so what they're going to do is what they've already done in Iraq, in Afghanistan, which is to hide from air attack and to wait us out and to try to raise the costs on us and our allies so that we'll become war wary. And in 3 years, all it will take will be a minority in the Senate to block any reauthorization.
It is insane. And you also talk about the part of the proposal that would repeal the 2002 act authorizing military action against Iraq. Talk about why you think that's a dangerous thing as well.
Yes, again, and this all goes back to a principle that our framers understood, that Alexander Hamilton made clear during the debates or the Constitution, which is that he said you can't anticipate ahead of time all the threats, all the natures of threats to our nation's security. So it doesn't make sense to try to tie your hands beforehand in some kind of written law that will dictate exactly how you think the war will go. We may want to fight according to our plans, but the enemy will want to fight according to his or hers. And so if you repeal the 2002 AUMF, and then you're only relying on the 2001, then, for example, we can only attack ISIS, I suppose, but we can't attack any other groups hostile to us in Syria and Iraq. We can't, for example, if the opportunity arose, remove al-Assad from the head of Syria and replacing them with a friendly regime. We couldn't use force to bolster our allies in Iraq, even those not being attacked by ISIS. So it's a strange law that, on the one hand, looks like it's sending a message of unity and strength against ISIS, but when you read it, it actually leaves the president and our country and our commanders much weaker off than they are now if Congress just simply did nothing.
It is very frightening, and of course it begs the question, which we'll have to address another day, John, why would a commander-in-chief want to do this to his country, not only while he's commander-in-chief, but going forward? Maybe that's your next piece, and I look forward to it. John, always good to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Steve, wonderful to be with you as usual.
Thank you. And John Sununu's next. Don't go away.